Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to talk about the 10 paths to happiness. We'll discuss about the sutra called Sumati-darika-pariprccha. Let me share the slide. Well, the title over here, we put it the 10 paths to happiness. Why we have this title? This was actually by the commentary by Venerable Master Hsing. He wrote a book called 10 Paths to Happiness, which is a commentary of this sutra, Sumati-darika-pariprccha. The Sumati-darika-pariprccha was part of the collection of the Mahayana Sutra, which is also called Sutra of the Heap of Jewels in English. They were first grouped together in the Tang dynasty. And there are altogether 49 sutras in the collection. Several of these sutras were translated much earlier, some of them as early as in the later Han dynasty during the Common Era of the 2nd century. These collections was retranslated by the monk Bodhisattva in 706 to 713 CE. The Sanskrit version of Sumati-darika-pariprccha was actually lost. And let us find out more about the English meaning. The English meaning, Su, means wondrous or beautiful, while the word Mati means mind. So it is meant to be subtle mind, beautiful mind. But in Chinese, it's called subtle intellect. In fact, you don't see the word mind in Chinese. Darika means a younger, while pariprccha means question. Hence, we have the whole title meaning the question by the girl Sumati. The sutta discusses about fulfilling worldly and supramundane needs. He also mentioned about the practices of a Bodhisattva. We shall digress a bit to talk about some basic Buddhist terminology. So, what is a Bodhisattva? In Mahayana Buddhism, Bodhisattva is a being who is able to reach nirvana but delays doing so through compassion for suffering beings. The term itself can be broken down into Bodhi and Sattva. The word Bodhi means awaken, while the word Sattva means being. But we also call those who start on the Bodhisattva path as a Bodhisattva. There are many stages of practice in Bodhisattvahood, just like us going through education from primary school to tertiary level. Nirvana literally means blowing out, liberation from cycle of birth and death. The term Mahayana. Maha means great, Yana means vehicle. A big vehicles that can carry many people from the shore of suffering to the shore of liberation. It is about practices of Bodhisattvas who seeks Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Next, what does a Bodhisattva do? They adhere to the Mahayana Four Universal Vows. First, sentient beings are limitless. I vow to liberate them. Second, afflictions are endless. I vow to eradicate them. Third, Dharma teachings are infinite. I vow to learn them. Fourth, Buddhahood is supreme. I vow to attain it. I have this explanation put on the right-hand side of the slide. The first one is about saving people from suffering. The second one is quite interesting. When we are practicing, sometimes we are being swayed by negative influences such as desire and attachment. In the end, we couldn't do what we intended. We have to go to the roots of our problems. What are the things that are troubling you? What are the things that make you worries? We need to address this issue so that it won't cause obstacles to whatever we want to pursue. Hence, this is not only applicable to Buddhists, it's useful for non-Buddhists too. We need to get rid of our worries, our anxiety, fear, hatred, and greediness. The third vow is to study and apply Buddhist principles to our life. The Dharma is like a beacon that produces warmth and guidance and support for us. And the last one is to achieve Buddhahood, which is the ultimate purpose of our Buddhist practice. We can, however, arrange the four universal vows in another way to improve our understanding of what it is all about. Let's start from bottom up and let's rephrase it. To attain Buddhahood, I would study and practice the Dharma extensively so as to remove my afflictions in order to help other beings. When we read in this order, the aim becomes obvious. That is to become a Buddha. And that requires us to study and practice the Dharma hard. By practicing and applying the Dharma in our daily life, we gradually have lesser afflictions. When we have all the tools ready and knowing how to make use of these, then we are ever ready to help others. But for those who are less confident with themselves, the first method of presentations with the Buddhahood places at the fourth positions would make them feel more comfortable about practicing. Most people think that the vow to attain Buddhahood is not something that they can achieve. It is only achievable by the Buddha. Then people would not take on the other three vows. However, when we have the first vow being helping sentient beings, most of us have the compassion and love within us. Henceforth, we would want to take up the vow of helping others. Like in the recent decades, we see more and more people becoming vegetarians or vegans. I think the vows, when being rephrased, based on how a person's perspective and their capacity is a very skillful mean. So when we are not ready yet, it was being rearranged in such a manner. We mentioned about the Bodhisattva practice, but what is practice? In Chinese, practice called Hsing. In short, the longer version would be 修正行为, which means correcting one's action. Bodhisattva practice requires one to be mindful of one's actions and to correct them until they are perfect. The action over here means not only physical actions, but also includes speech and thoughts. What are the tools that we can use to correct our actions? In brief, they are observing precepts, meditation or being mindful, and acquiring wisdom. So far, I have covered some basic Buddhist terminologies. We shall now move on to the content of the Sumati Sutra. Thus have I heard at one time the Buddha was in the city of Rajagriha on the mountain of Vigrakuta along with a great assembly of bhikkhu, 1,250 people in all. The Bodhisattva, Mahasattva there number 10,000 in all. At that time in the city of Rajagriha, there was a layman named Sumati who was in her 8th year. Her appearance and feature were upright, colorful, and beautiful, appearing so nice that those who saw her were happy. Already she had approached and made offerings before innumerable Buddhas of the past, planting good roots. Planting good roots is a common metaphor in Buddhist Sutra. The word good roots are literal translation. Good roots are basis for the growth of all wholesome deeds. We need them to grow. When we say Sumati had planted good roots, it means that she is ready to grow into an awakened being. When that maiden went to the place of the Buddha, she bowed her head at the feet of the Buddha and then circled around him 3 full times to the right. Bowing her head at the feet of the Buddha is a common way of expressing respect to someone in India. Kneeling with palm joy, she spoke a verse. The unexcelled perfect enlightenment is a lamp for the entire world. Of the practices of a Bodhisattva, I wish you would hear my questions. The unexcelled perfect enlightenments refer to the Buddha. He is a lamp for the entire world. Lamp has various meanings. It can mean light, hope, or wisdom. The Buddha said to Sumati, "You may now ask questions as you like, and the answer will cut through your neck of doubts." At that time, Sumati went before the Buddha and spoke a verse to inquire. To make reading of the verse much easier, I have broken up the verses into 10 questions. First, how can one attain upright features? Second, and a body of wealth and nobility. Third, what are the causes and conditions make kinship difficult to destroy? That is, protect family from disruption, harmony in the family. Can you recall how the sutra described the appearance of Sumati? Her appearance and feature were upright, colorful, and beautiful, appearing so nice that those who saw her were happy. Does it occur to you that Sumati, who looks so pretty, and yet she asked the questions on how to attain upright feature? She came from a wealthy, noble, and harmonious family. Then, that made me wonder, are her questions concerning only about wealth, nobility, and kinship? We have to spend some time to discuss about her questions before looking at the answer by the Buddha. The English translations of upright features still fall short of the actual meanings of Duanzhen in Chinese. It is not only about features, but also about the characteristic. It could mean upright character. It may be about virtue, integrity, and righteousness. Suppose you are Sumati. What kind of questions do you have in mind for the Buddha? What do we look for in our daily life? We want to look beautiful, handsome, especially during our teenage years. We hope for this. We went through those periods in life where appearance was so important. Why do we want to look beautiful and handsome? Well, maybe the reason is we wish to be well liked by others. Some people think that beautiful people get to achieve life goal much easier. To some, beauty brings confidence. But to be well liked by others or to be successful, there are other ways too. We gain friendships or success through our bodily actions, speech, and thoughts. For example, Venerable Master Hsing, he advocates the three goodness. First, doing good deeds, speaking good words, and thinking good thoughts. All these could help our relationship or can help us in our progress towards a successful life. Sumati asked these few questions which are very much related to our daily life. Hence, I hope over this week, everyone can reflect and think, what do you want? And how to get what you want. The next question is a body of wealth and nobility. When we look at the word wealth, is not difficult to understand. So too for nobility, we may want fame and status. But what does a body, body of wealth and nobility mean? This doesn't quite make sense in English because how can there be a body of wealth and a body of nobility? This is not a translation problem in English. We have to look at this whole sentence from a different perspective. The third question about what are the causes and conditions that make kinship difficult to destroy. Well, what are these all about? Let's see. For example, a seed is the cause, and fertile soils, water, sunlight are the elements, factors, or conditions for the seed to grow. Over the slide, we can see the seeds. Then we need the fertile soil, the water, the sunlight. Of course, you have to get the right proportion. How do we have good relationship with our parents, partner, siblings, or children? What are the causes and conditions that can protect family from destructions? And what are the causes and conditions for harmony in the family? For example, it's very common to see sibling rivalry at home, or having a sour relationship with your husband or wife. When these issues are not resolved, it could bring about worries, anxieties, fear, and hatred in our life. I give one simple example of someone whom I know. She's the elder daughter in the family. Ever since her younger brother was born, she didn't get the love and attention from her mother. Her mother would always praise her brother, but not her. Therefore, since young, she desperately wanted her mother's recognitions. She tried very hard to be a good daughter. She suppresses her feelings, doing things that she may not like, but just to please her mother. When she's working, she brings this longing for recognition, attention to her workplace. She tries to be a good employee and colleague. But as soon as she didn't get the recognition, the attention, she moved on to another new job. She simply couldn't settle down. She never lives in harmony with herself. Relationship in the family has a very strong impact on our life. It affects a person's behavior and perspective of life. These are the three questions, the first three questions by Sumati. What are your opinions over these three questions? Before we look at how Buddha answers to Sumatis. There is a question behind on the chat. The question is, does this question not relate to greed? This is interesting because sometimes we may think that you know what you want to look pretty, you want wealth, you want fame and status. There are this kind of greediness in us. On the first guess, when we look at the question itself, they are about They are all about desire. But upon second thought, maybe it's not related to greed. Yes, there's something we can talk about it along this track.
Shifu, it's Jose. So you can hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so if I may, so I think going back to the first question about the outside beauty and in beauty, I think it's a lot. I mean, if you look at a lot of psychological talks nowadays, it's all about the intrinsic and extrinsic factors in life. It's always better to look for something that is inside of you, rather. So you know, the beauty and the I call it stroking inside of you than getting affirmations from outside of you, because it's always better when it comes from within you than getting all those outside things. And I know a lot of us all try and say these things, but and we all like to be said, oh, you look beautiful and handsome and whatever. But all of these things should all of them come from us. So you know, I do understand. Sorry, it was the second one. Well, I think it's the first one, but we all understand this. But it's difficult to not want these external factors to come to say, oh, you do look handsome, you do look this, but all of these should, you're right, should be coming from inside of us rather than externally. That's my take on the first one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, anyone want to? Yes.
Follow up from what Jose said. I think the Buddha's answer will not ask us to put on more makeup. I think he will not ask her to do some surgery, or rather is to focus on the intrinsic virtues, and that will enhance the external features and also the nobility as well. So things like doing virtuous acts, speaking good words, having good thoughts. Yeah, I think this will help create the right causes and conditions to attain the upright features, wealth, and nobility, rather than go and get a good job that pays well, go and put more SK2. No, I think he will not give such worldly answers. And probably Sumati's intention is also not for herself to get upright features or get nobility and wealth. I think it's more likely is for to liberate, with the intention of liberating all sentient beings rather than for herself. Probably is to attract the sentient beings to be more attractive, to get the right conditions to be able to make it more convenient to liberate others. That's my take.
Okay, thank you. Yes, anyone?
Morning, Master. Morning, everyone. I was just thinking another way that you addressed the previous slide, that it's interesting if one asks the question from the third question and then move back to 1 and 2. What causes conditions make kinship difficult to destroy? And you look at number 2 and it says a body of wealth and nobility and to obtain right upright features.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the Buddha's teaching constantly answers itself in questions itself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So almost as if you wanted good, if you want to ask what the good conditions are to make kinship difficult to destroy, you need a body of wealth and nobility, and you need to attain upright features, you know. There's a way in which the Buddha always phrases these kind of questions or suggestions that seems to, you can move from one to the other almost seamlessly. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes. You can 1, 2, 3. You can 3, 2, 1. You can 2, 1, 3. Whatever, because they are actually interrelated.
Yes, that's what I was seeing. You know, in how these questions have answers themselves in a way. You know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Anyway, that is what I was seeing.
I think my understanding of it is that by answering the answers to question 1 will naturally lead to the results for questions 2 and 3. So how can one obtain upright, attribute features? My understanding of that is, as you said, only through practice, but practicing what? And I've kind of, it's something that I've searched for myself for a long time, and I've come to understand it as practicing integrity of self, speaking your truth without harm to self or others. And, oh, there's another one. I'm so nervous it escaped me. Oh, what is the other one? Yeah, but basically living a life that, living the attributes or practicing the knowledge so that you gain the wisdom in such a way that you do not cause harm to yourself or to others, in whatever that might be. And sometimes integrity of self means having to say no. It does mean not giving away your power. It does mean being able to be authentically you. That's what I was searching for, to be your authentic self and not indulge in any behaviors that is going to be contrary to that. So that is just my understanding of it. The last one is no judgment of self or others. I find that the more you practice that, the more you are able to look at your actions not as a punishment or something that you did, or to attach, you can actually use your discernment and look at them for what they are and find the wisdom in them so that you don't repeat that behavior again. And it makes you calmer, because if you do judge yourself or you do judge others, you'll find that you're constantly stressed, and you're constantly in a state of worry, which is the opposite of what you're trying to achieve. So it's a lot of hard work, but it's worthwhile, I found. And so, I'm especially attracted to how to obtain these qualities, because you can only move on to the next phase if you know how to control your emotions, your thinking, your thoughts, because you are creating your own reality. So yeah, that's really my take on the.
These 3 points mentioned by Sheena are quite true. I think we can sum it up as self-empowerment. We take control of our life, set wholesome goals, and make positive decisions. We have to understand our strengths and weaknesses and have faith in ourselves. If we don't find our inner power, it is impossible for us to develop further into our true self or Buddha nature. Okay.
Shifu,
Yes.
yeah, could it be she's asking on behalf of entry-level Buddhists? Because I mean, new people who are new to Buddhism, actually they usually will ask such worldly questions. Yeah, but then ultimately, is the skillful mean to lead them to learn the deeper Dharma? Maybe that's just my guess.
Yes, you're right. I think there is a lot of possibility to why Sumati wanted to raise this question. We make the entry level much lower so that more people can come and practice. This is a very appealing question by Sumati. Some people cherish family lives. Some people think that appearances means everything in their life. There was a sad incident happened in Singapore last year, where a pretty lady in her early 30s passed away after cosmetic treatment. So you see, maybe for some people, beauty is very, very important. From the surface level of the questions posed by Sumati, maybe what she wanted is very different from the answer from what the Buddha may say later. This question related very much to our different kinds of needs. If we have fulfilled the needs of food and shelter and harmonious family life, then we may move on to fame and status. We have quite a fruitful discussion for today, and I shall stop here. And now let's get ready for our meditation session.